We are live.
All right.
Hello.
Yay!
Yay. All right. Hello, everyone, through the portal to a space where vision and creativity and conversation come alive in real time. Today, I have Adam and Kirsten of RegenEarth Studio with me. And at RegenEarth Studio, they are creating a vibrant, action focused, and collaborative container that supports regenerative entrepreneurs in reaching their full potential and make regenerative living the norm together. Welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Thanks for putting this together.
yeah, yeah. Let's start off maybe by if you want to just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do at Regen Earth Studio, and then we'll go from there.
Do you want me to start, Adam?
Yeah, go for it. You go first.
Sure. All right. Well, my name is Kirsten Liegman, and I am one of the founders of RegenEarth Studio and the CEO. And we started this about 3 years ago, and it was after my journey in my career of business, sustainability, and consciousness. Those are the three pillars that I have always focused on. I have an MBA in sustainable management, had a multi-million dollar business down in California manufacturing ergonomic office chairs. So at least I was, helping people get out of pain that way, right? But it also was completely unsustainable for me physically, right? And I got really, really sick with recurring migraines. And so just ended up leaving all of that and started pursuing the path of consciousness as well. And what does it take to wake up as a species so that we can build the world and design and develop the world that we want to live in, the harmonious, sustainable, regenerative, thriving world. And it starts internally. And I've always loved conscious community, the regenerative community. I worked with Gaia University for 10 years, and it was a lot of it was around eco villages and permaculture. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I met our third co-founder, we really clicked on this idea of how do we make regenerative living the norm and help these communities that really oftentimes lack, well, business acumen, oftentimes funding, to be able to put their dreams, their visions into reality. And
Mm-hmm.
so the RegenEarth Studio, as it's unfolding right now, and Adam joined, a while back, and has been just such an amazing addition to what we're creating. And yeah, we want to help bring that to life. And we're doing that with the RegenEarth Studio.
Wonderful. Adam.
Awesome. Yeah. So, um, my basically my whole career, I've been curious about entrepreneurship as a tool to create a better world and to create a world where we as humans have a positive influence and bring value to the planet and design our society and infrastructure around that. So I started out really just trying stuff in college where I was studying innovation in society. I was just trying things, getting into the entrepreneurship scene. My first idea was a mental health app, and it just kind of spiraled from there. I spiraled upwards, I guess. I started a podcast called Applying Awareness, so I was also really interested about consciousness and awareness and our psychology and how that drives us individually and collectively. And my first, I usually I call it my first real business because I had started like three to that point, but they didn't really go anywhere. So my first real business was emote design, and that was helping visionaries bring their vision to reality through like branding and messaging, website design, designed a few apps as well, and that kind of put me through the wormhole. You called it through the portal. That was kind of the beginning of going through the portal of um, really getting to the point in that business where I realized that how you think about your business and how you think about yourself is really the most important and valuable piece that you can work on. And that led me to a space where I just wanted to work more systemically. I was working one on one with entrepreneurs, and I kind of saw that there was a missing ecosystem at the time. I was focused on social impact entrepreneurship. And as I went into that systems change space, that's where I found all of these, I guess, concepts and practices and infrastructure around cooperative economics and design. And that's also where I found regenerative design and development. And from there, I was like, okay, this is, this is, it feels like my home, right? Like just
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging that we are all whole beings on this earth, which is herself a whole being, and we're here to create together, create abundance together, and to create, honestly, what our hearts want to create. For each person, that's a unique thing, I'm sure, as you know, Maria. Um, and so I started a business kind of at this exploration of business model design and this go-to-market stuff that I had really focused on with my first business. And through that, I ended up meeting Kirsten and Eric at RegenEarth Studio, and they were just had a mirror for my vision, and it was really, really cool. So I joined, and what I do there as well, I lead the Substack efforts for one, and doing a lot of operations, tending to the community, the Nexus community, and really just supporting with product and service design. That's mostly what I do, but our roles are continually evolving as we evolve as people and evolve in our collaboration. So, yeah, that's me. I also, I'll just put in there, I'm a musician as well. I rap and
Nice.
sing and do a lot of yoga and qigong. So those are some aspects of me. And yeah, it's just great to be here and excited to go deeper into the portal with you both.
Yeah, beautiful. Um, you mentioned Nexus. Can you explain what that is a little bit more?
Yeah, I'll start it off and I'll pass it over to Kirsten. Our current working tagline for the Nexus is where regenerative collaborations come to life. And that's really what it's all about. We have a group of, I think, of 19 people at this point who have joined as members. And really, the goal in the Nexus is to build trust, shared understanding, real collaboration between the pioneers building at the edge of regenerative living. So we're welcoming in founders, investors, policymakers, specialists like yourself, and also people who just want to immerse themselves in this space. I met this guy who was studying sustainable business at ASU, and he found out what we were doing. He's like, "How can I get an inside view?" And the Nexus is really that place where you can kind of take a peek behind the curtain and meet other people. We're currently in the middle, basically, of an evolution. I was calling it a redesign, but I don't think we're redesigning too much. I think we're just
No?
taking what we started with and we're evolving it to the next level. So we're looking at some really exciting events coming up. We have connection calls, and we also have project raising sessions where members can share their project and really just co-build. They bring it. They're not really pitching. They're saying, "Hey, here's what I'm working on. Here's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, does anyone have information or resources to support me?" And that's really what we're trying to lean into is building each project and the systems that support these projects together. So that's what Nexus is on a high level. But Kirsten, curious if you have anything to add or emphasize there.
Yeah. Yeah, so the mission of the RegenEarth Studio is to make regenerative living the norm. And when with that as the long-term vision, we had to think about, okay, who needs to be at the table in order for that to be actually true? We can't just focus on the projects and the founders, even though that is in some way the ecosystem around who we're building this, right? But we need to bring to the table the people with the financial means, right? The investors, the impact investors. We need to bring to the table the people who can help implement those projects, especially for community building projects. You need architects and permaculturalists and designers and all those different people,
Mm-hmm.
bringing those to the table, and then the policy change makers, the influencers within government, right? I mean, one of the big obstacles within this whole regenerative movement is the archaic, outdated, I will stop there on adjectives, regulations that keep regeneration from really being
Mm-hmm.
able to be
Mm-hmm.
implemented, right? And so, as we were thinking about those four categories in particular, then we said, okay, where can what is necessary to bring them all into the same room?
Mm-hmm.
And so the nexus is that place where there's collaboration, there is implementation. We like to call ourselves a do tank versus a think tank. Our focus is let's implement. Let's talking is important, but let's do it such that we know what the action steps are, the implementation, the skill sets necessary to actually implement. And so for each of those categories, we're developing skill development, up leveling, training such that it becomes a flywheel, right? The
Mm-hmm.
founders that come out of our programs are exactly what the investors are looking for, who have been trained now to think regeneratively and such. And so the nexus is that point of connection, trust building, collaboration, weaving together. That's what we're seeing. And the latest metaphor that we love playing with right now is that of a mother tree. That was Adam's recent recent download, is like the nexus is the mother tree around which we gather, and then the nutrients go out, the information goes out from there, but it's that gathering space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds amazing. And like when you started this, you know, you mentioned collective, or you mentioned like this collaboration piece or the kind of community piece of it. What is what arises or what comes up, what becomes visible when you do these things, these regenerative actions together as a collective and not just individual?
Hmm.
What becomes visible? What a fascinating question. Um, Well, for one, there's two sides to it. On the one side, there's where's the gaps. What becomes visible is where are the gaps in designing the world that we want to live in, right? This
Mm-hmm.
thriving world. And, there are three gaps that we have seen. I mean, I know there are many more, but like the funding is the one, business acumen, and then the regulations are the supportive regulations, right? So that's one thing that becomes visible. The other one I would say is the outdated capitalist system that does not think long term, right? Regenerative projects, by their nature, are long term because they align to life, and
Mm-hmm.
life does not go by quarterly returns, right? It does not function that way. So when we align with life, there has to be a different rhythm that shows up. And so there's gaps there in understanding each other. And that's one of the other things that we want to really make sure is that all the stakeholders really speak the same language. And so trust is something that becomes visible as we collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
Trust that this actually is a win-win-win-win solution, right, for everybody. So those are the first few that come to mind. Adam, I'll let you pop in here as well.
Yeah, yeah. I think to go along with the systems of capitalism, I think on a deeper level, what comes up is the ways that manifest within us. And even Kirsten and I have seen like, oh, why are we doing things this way? And it's like, oh, well, that's just like kind of the habitual thing when we thought about businesses. We need to do things this way. And I think that also comes up in a collective space where it becomes very clear um, what is um, what is holding us all back. And a lot of times it is a lack of trust, not just with each other, but with the path that we're on. And I think the thing that's come visible for me is the fact, like the reality of listening to my intuition as a business strategy and the
Mm-hmm.
necessity of that has become incredibly visible. And in bringing people together, there's a lot of tension, and it's a really, I think there's a lot of potential in that tension between working on consciousness, working on connecting relationally to the life around us, and working on our businesses to
Mm-hmm.
succeed in a financial sense. There's just so much like, oh, but like this working with life doesn't traditionally make sense with business, even though there's this whole category of sustainable business. A lot of times it's more like we're doing business, but we're doing it a little bit less bad, right? And what is emerging is just a whole the the whole shift that's necessary to engage in this work. It's not just a shift in tactics. It's not just a shift in, oh, you have to listen to the land before you build on it. Like that's one part of it, right? But it is a whole sustained shift throughout the whole life cycle of the project that all of the stakeholders, um, I wouldn't say need to share on like 100%, but it really helps. And this is actually an active conversation that's going on right now. It's like I shared this paper about relationalized finance, and it posed the hypothesis or assumption was that capitalist financial structures are inherently need to be separated from commons building projects or
Mm-hmm.
regenerative projects.
Mm-hmm.
And that brought up so much. I mean, everyone had kind of a different angle on it. And it's like, do the projects need to become more investable and professionalized, or do investors need to shift their consciousness and change the way they deploy finance? It's a both and we also need to figure out how to get funding into these projects with the existing funding structures as much as possible. Because these types of cultural shifts and paradigm shifts within an individual can take years to fully
Mm-hmm.
embody. And as a collective, can take decades. And we're at
Mm-hmm.
a point where, things are kind of collapsing more or less now, I would say. I mean, we're still
Yeah.
able to have this conversation and the birds are still chirping outside, but it was also 105 degrees today in Phoenix,
Yeah.
Arizona. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
there's a lot that's happening right now. And so there's capital that needs to move right now. And what's surfacing is the layers of the work. The capital needs to move now or yesterday, and we
And
need to
then
move
action.
patiently. And we need
Yeah.
to move with patience, with rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
in rhythm with life. And it's just, it feels very paradoxical, but it's a both and. And so the layers of it's very, it's just like, okay, well, how do we do both of these things? Not
Mhm.
quite sure, but we're going to take the next step.
Yeah. 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 You brought up a good um, tension there, and it kind of reminds me of this tension that comes with this regenerative space of the projects or things people are trying to do. You have, on one hand, you have what you mentioned with like the trust building, the community building, the presence, like being present and being slow and being in rhythm with, I don't know, the seasons and with each other, right? You can't rush these kind of things. and you have to unlearn things, and you have to be, you know, there is a lot of internal work, and there's a lot of community work. And I would say the presence of and the slowness of it versus the momentum, right? Versus the action, versus the flow, versus actually doing things. And that's a very interesting tension, and and I've seen that everywhere, and you just confirmed that you've been seeing that as well. And how, with your work, when that comes up inevitably, what kind of what kind of lessons do you take from that? What has that taught you so far in your work?
Mm. Well, Adam and I just went through a very fascinating period of time where we made an offer that didn't go quite as we thought it would. We were super excited about it. We loved it. It was a course called the Earthwise Entrepreneur. We thought it would resonate, and it was not as deeply received as we wanted to, right? And so the lesson that we learned is
Mm-hmm.
slow down and listen. Listen externally, and most importantly, and I think this was really one of the most powerful things we did, is we started listening internally as well. And we had a few just magical meetings, right? Where we literally just felt into the field, the internal fields, our collective field between us, and then the field of RegenEarth Studio,
Mm-hmm.
and allowed ourselves to listen from a feeling state, what wants to emerge, right? And so I think the balance to find is, I think in business, it's just like speed, success like speed, and all those beliefs that we have about we've got to move, move faster, 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 implement, and all that. And that is true on one side, but it has to be balanced out with the ability to slow down, get out of the headspace of what we think we ought to do, and align with the larger flow of the universe, right? With the
Mm-hmm.
flow of what the Regener Studio, as a being of itself that is emerging, wants, what we want between us as founders and individually. So we're working on multiple levels, and you cannot do that if you're going too fast. And
Mm-hmm.
so it was such a powerful experience to go, okay, that was not what wanted to happen, what wants to happen, and to start listening. And from that, what has emerged for me is I am in far less stress. Like I feel there's a grace and an ease in our field right now. There's a rhythm that is sustainable and regenerating because it feels life-giving. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel we're far more effective. And this is, for those of you who think, business needs to be, this is not effective, it's not fast enough. Slowing down is an efficiency tool like no other.
Hmm.
Because when you tap into what wants to happen, you get the answers in 3D, in full completion, and then you move. And you move way faster than trying to make it happen. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really one of the big lessons that I've learned. And it's been so, so amazing. It's
Mm-hmm.
really been one of my biggest ahas.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe there's something also about that. Maybe things don't need to happen fast. Things don't need to be efficient to
Yeah.
be life-giving,
They're
right?
in
Like
right
Hmm.
time.
if you come back to what do we actually want on this earth, right? How do we want to live? What's really important for us at the end of the time, at the end of your life,
Yeah.
when you look back, what is it, right?
Yeah.
Is it how fast and efficient you were, or no, it's usually not,
No,
right?
how much aliveness have you felt in your being? You know,
Right.
how much thriving is in all levels of the system internally and all the fields. That's really ultimately what matters. Are you
Mhm.
feel fulfilled? Do you feel successful on all levels?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then bringing the whole earth into this as well. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. She's got
Hmm.
to have a seat at the table, an
Right.
equal
Yeah.
seat.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting because like one of our reflections after the Earthwise Entrepreneur launch happened, and we were like, okay, well, we need to change directions, but we're not quite sure yet. We were still in processing mode. We went into the weekend with the intention of asking Mother Earth, and we came back with basically the same answer.
Hmm.
And that answer, and that was my lesson, was to lean into relationship and
Hmm.
see relationships and deep relationships as the substrate and the accelerator ultimately of our business. Because once you cultivate deep relationship and you build a system around continuing to cultivate those relationships, they build on themselves. That energy builds on itself. And that's human to human relationships, but also human to land relationships. And it it requires a certain speed at first, right? But once you establish that connection and continue to check in with it, whether us as co-founders or us with Mother Earth, like it it is fully supportive when
Hmm.
we do need to move quickly. And
Right.
there are certain times when it's like, okay, now it's time to move, and we're kind of feeling that now. We had some conversations like, what does the Nexus, what should be in it? What are people looking for? And in our last conversation, it's like, all right, like we had plans to do this until the end of the month, but I think we're ready to start building. And
Hmm.
it's really, it takes a lot of discernment to understand, is that coming from a space of lack and artificial urgency? Or is it coming from a natural attunement to, oh, this force is trying to move now. I need to
Yeah.
support it. In
Hmm.
this moment. And
Yeah.
I think the most important relationship is is the relationship to the present moment,
Hmm.
because that surfaces, as Kirsten said, it makes everything very clear. It
Yeah.
makes everything very clear, and it's not about the brain running the show. It's about this force of life moving through us, and
Hmm.
it's been a lot of lessons, probably the most lessons in the shortest period of time. When it comes to like business context for me, it's been really remarkable.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
lesson
excellent.
of allowance is really what it is.
Mm.
Allowing what wants to emerge
Hmm.
and getting out of the way
Yeah.
of
It's kind of
service.
this acceptance, right?
Yeah.
This is what it is. Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're
Yeah.
victim to anything. I
No.
mean, obviously you're an actor we're actors in this game called RegenEarth Studio, right? But we are allowing the flow,
Hmm.
the alignment to happen. And we're getting that lesson really well. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. No, I love that. That sounds like an amazing experience. It's just also very aligned with what I do. Um, and I mean, I've talked with Adam before. Kirsten, we haven't met before this call, so you're not so aware. But a lot of my work as an artist, working with embodiment and working with visioning. So a lot of my work begins kind of after the strategic or thinking part, the different layers than the cerebral. So, people that have already gone through the strategy and their action plans and everything. And it's really about embodying a vision of going to the space where what wants to be sensed, what wants to be imagined, what's, like the symbolic understanding, the subconscious understanding of that vision, you know, those kind of layers. And
I
and
love that.
that's where I lead people into, and then support them in integrating that into their life, um, through, ritual, different things. And the main piece of it is, however, though, to really channel that layer of understanding or knowing into my art, so then that the art becomes kind of a visual anchor, to give like a tangible form, bringing it from the inside into
Yes.
reality. So that's also done, like a connector back to that, in your day-to-day life. You have like a visual, um, element to it.
Yes.
And because I really believe that when you, well, one, when you go and really feel the vision, that brings you another layer of connection to it, and another layer of, um, understanding and clarity. And that also helps you move through the hard parts, because it connects you to the feeling of it. Like, this is what I'm doing, and this is why I'm doing it. And yes, this is the right way, right? It also helps you with your decision making in a way. And then
Absolutely.
I also really strongly believe, and this is, why I do my art, is art has always been a connection to that layer, right? To the feelings. And but when you connect it with that vision, and you bring that out into a visual, something that you can see, it becomes a lot easier for people to live it.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's what my work is.
I love
So,
it.
and I have, multiple different ways of doing that, with individually, with people, and with groups. But in these sessions right here, I kind of give a little bit of taste. We've talked about this amazing stuff that you're doing, and I want to kind of lead you into that layer of it, um, in the session. So I'm gonna, invite you to join a little meditative visualization session, guide you through it, and then afterwards, I'm gonna shift my camera to a piece of paper where I'm gonna sketch something while you guys share what came up. And because you're two, I'm gonna have to go one after the other, okay? So let's get into some meditation if you're up for it.
Yes.
All right. All right, so get comfortable, and you can close your eyes. And we want to start out by just coming into this moment. Just feel yourself here in this moment, in this space. There's nothing you have to worry about from the past. Everything that comes after comes after. There's nothing you need to do right now. Just be here and breathe. When you breathe in, I want you to feel into your body if there's any spots of tension. And when you breathe out, just let that go, loosen. Might be the shoulders, maybe the hands. Just breathe and relax into this moment. And feel the connection to our earth, this gravitational pull on your feet, on your sit bones, everywhere in your body. This is how our earth holds us, and that's always there. We can always rely on it. She will always hold us. as long as we live. As yourself, feel yourself being held by this earth. I want you to put your attention on your heart, space around your heart. And just breathe into that space. Space of love and connection, of heartbreak that leads to us to act. Our passion, our fire that we can transmute. Just breathe into that space. And you can imagine energy growing, pooling, collecting, feeding the fire like a hearth that you feed with the wood and the air. Just breathe into it. Imagine the energy growing, connecting you to everyone and everything, to the universe. And then gently, slowly, imagine this energy flowing upwards in your body to the space between your brows where your vision arises. And let's breathe into that space. And then imagine this energy that we've nourished and collected creates a portal, an inner portal or doorway into the space of our vision, our path, our purpose, where we can feel and experience this vision, inner vision space inside of us. And just look at the portal, at the doorway for a moment, and I invite you to step into it, through it, into your vision space. Let it surround you. And maybe there's this feeling this place gives off, just a general energy. Just notice it, let it surround you and hold you. And we want to explore with our senses. Let's focus on the sense of smell. If there are smells in this space, what would they be? What would you smell? And move to our ears, our sense of hearing. What sounds are in this place? What noises? And then your sense of touch, your skin, any air movements, warmth or coolness, any textures. What can you feel? And when you start looking around, what is there? What colors, what shapes, objects, plants or animals? What is close by? And what is in the distance? Where are you? I just want you to look around, just take in the sights without judgment. Even if you don't see anything, or even if the images shift, the space is not, it's just inside you, it's very symbolic. It doesn't have to adhere to the physics outside. And let's just take it all in and imagine that this place has a voice, a message for you. What is it telling you? What do you need to hear right now? Just listen. And then I want you to thank this place. And we will slowly say goodbye. Remember, this place is always there inside of you to return to. And then slowly move back through the portal into your body. You can feel your body, wriggle your hands or arms, and slowly open your eyes. And we're back. It was very short. Yeah. How are you guys feeling?
Peaceful, joyful.
Yeah,
Right.
grateful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I'm glad. All right, I'm trying to move my camera to the painting.
Yeah, you're frozen on my end.
Yeah, it always takes, I always have to click it twice. So now I'm going to, because we're on the phone, you're not going to see all of it. So I'm hoping, let me just see, where's my hand? There we go. Okay, it's going to start over on this side. And then I'll move it. Who wants to start sharing?
What we saw, what we felt, what
Yeah, just walk me through it. What you saw, what came up first, if anything changed, and what you felt, maybe what you smelled.
Well, it immediately took me to my happy place, which is basically in the mountains, in the forest, on a warm summer day, the smells of the pine needles on the ground, the birds and the squirrels speaking, um, smells of lilac, which I know don't grow in a forest, but we're
In
out
your
of
forest, they grow
it's
in your
my
forest.
forest. Yeah, just the peace and the quiet, but the aliveness that was in there. Yeah, those were the main things. Mm.
The first thing that came to my awareness was like birds and a breeze. There's like a gust of wind and birds over my head. Um, and then I looked. I was also in this like mountain meadow, and there was a mountain ahead of me with a path, like this winding path, um, going up it. And there was like a bunch of like little regenerative villages at different points in this mountain. They were all working on their own thing and like, just had their own character and feeling. Smelled baking bread. And there was a river as well. It was kind of to the right of the mountain. Came to this lake and beautiful tree overlooking the lake. The trees are on the base of the mountain. It kind of had like a mad, like each of these villages kind of felt like a mad scientist laboratory, and they were all cooking a specific like potion or making a specific thing, and I was touching like the walls of one place and like just noticing how different, how alive it felt.
Mm. Oh.
Right, it's a meadow.
What was the what was like the feeling, like the internal feeling for you, Kirsten? Like what were you feeling in your body?
Yeah. As I said, it was my happy place. So I felt so in tune with the place. It was
Mm,
like I belonged there. And what
mm,
was really interesting is right at the end, an image popped in of it was an indoor space, which in some of the meditations that we used to lead ourselves was my sacred space, I suppose. But what's really interesting, it's a living room that is all white. The couch white, the floors white, and sunken in, but with a big, huge window able to see outside. And that popped in as well, which was really
mm,
interesting. Just that pure silence, it represents internal silence for me, that nourishing silence that when we can get our
mm,
brains to shut up really just is amazing. And so that popped in right at the end.
mm.
Hmm.
Oh, that's cool. I felt like a weight, not like a heavy emotional weight, but like when you're around something ancient,
Uh,
like the weight of a stone that's been sitting in the same place for millions of years, like this
mm,
ancient, and it came up when we first kind of started talking about the mountain. It was this like just this like depth and like physicality in a way of just being of integrity. Just this quality of stone. I feel it a lot on the red rocks.
Mm.
And the desert holds this energy like deeply, like no matter what happens, no matter how hot it gets, we stay here.
Mm. Would you move the camera just a touch to the left so that we can
Yes.
see what you're doing right now?
Okay, let me see. Also, this is the mountain. That's your living room.
There
I
we
love
go.
that.
Okay. Now we can, yeah, perfect. Thank you. Perfect.
Let me see
Mm.
if I can. I want to try something. I don't know if it's gonna work.
Mm.
Hopefully I'm not messing everything up. Because I think I can do this. This is
Yeah.
happening. Yeah, there we go.
Mm. And Maria, I have a coaching client who will be waiting for me in 4 minutes.
Oh, yeah,
So,
absolutely. So before we leave, can you give me what was the message?
Mm.
Did you have a message from the space?
I didn't at the moment, but at right when you asked this, the word trust popped in. Just trust. Trust the unfolding. Trust that even if things don't make sense, they make sense. On in the larger unfolding, just trust and be in the moment.
Mm.
If you can stay silent and out of the hurricane and chaos that is the external reality, right? Create your own reality within the larger reality and trust that you're in the right place at the right time in the right way.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. What
The,
about
the
what about you, Eddie?
yeah, the message that came through from community builder, like you're here, this place is here. Your job is to build the community and bring them here.
Mm,
And is like really it was when you first asked it, it was like build the community, dude. It was like sometimes my inner voice talks to me like that. It's like very obvious, very like clear community builder.
mm.
And it's like this feeling that the place is already there. I don't need to build the place. I just need to build the relationships.
Build relationships.
Mm.
That is not dark enough. I'm trying to so you can actually see it.
Mm.
Thank you for hosting this. This was a wonderful experience.
Yeah,
Indeed.
there we go. I'm going to touch it up a little bit so it's easier to read, but I'm obviously going to send this to you as well.
Mm,
Thank you.
So
thank
this
you.
is a little taste of what I do.
How cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you for being here. It was lovely and it's really nice hearing about what you do. And I definitely want to make sure to stay in touch and, because this is also, something I'm deeply interested in fostering and supporting and bringing my inspiration and my support to as with my work and my
Yeah.
my gift. So
Well, your gifts would be wonderful in the Nexus, so come join the Nexus and be part of that conversation,
yeah, I'd
It's
love
it's
to.
generally not in regenerative communities, this kind of conversation, and I think it's so essential. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Thank you
Wonderful.
so much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and thanks everyone who tuned in to
Mhm.
join, to
Bye,
watch.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.